Hi, everyone. My name is Dylan Boyd, and I'm a research assistant for a nonprofit that seeks to find more fairness in police interactions. And this is my presentation on my research for the changing perceptions of police interactions. So first, just to review our data, this data comes from Seeing Blue in Black and White, Race and Perceptions of Officer-Involved Shootings by Jefferson, Weiner, and Pasek. And just to talk about our measurements on our variables, we're mainly going to be talking about the dependent variables, had crime and had weapon. Both are on a scale of 1 to 4. For had crime, the respondent responding 1 would mean that they incorrectly believed that Michael Brown had not committed a crime, whereas 4 would mean that they correctly believed that Michael Brown had committed a crime. For had weapon, a 1 would mean that they believed that Michael Brown did have a weapon, whereas 4 would mean that they correctly believed that Michael Brown did not have a weapon. So for our regressions that we ran with had weapon, first we ran a regression that only included Black respondents. And our statistically significant variables were party, suburban, name officer, and officer indicted. Party on a scale of 1 to 7, 1 being extremely conservative and 7 being extremely liberal. Suburban being 0 for not suburban, 1 for being suburban. Name officer, 0, the respondent didn't know the name of the officer, 1, the respondent did. And officer indicted, 0 being the respondent did not know that did not know that the officer was not indicted, whereas 1 would mean that the respondent did know that the officer was not indicted. For our regression that only included non-Black individuals, only party and name officer were significant, and across both regressions, name officer was by far our strongest variable, causing a 10% increase in correctness for Black respondents and a 9% increase in correctness for non-Black respondents. For our regressions with had crime, name officer and age were significant for our regression with only Black respondents, whereas for our regressions with non-Black individuals, ideology, female, and name officer were significant. Name officer was again our strongest variable, causing a 15% increase in correctness for Black individuals and a 12% increase in correctness for non-Black individuals. For our predictions, we combined a bunch of independent variables to find where someone who identifies with those variables would fall on the 1 to 4 scale of our dependent variables. So we combined someone who is independent, moderate, suburban, female, who knows that the officer was not indicted, of average income, age, and education. And we found that for had weapons, someone who knew the name of the officer for a Black individual would fall at about a 3.4 on the 1 to 4 scale, meaning they were very confident. They were fairly confident that Michael Brown did not have a weapon. And for non-Black individuals, they were also fairly confident that Michael Brown did not have a weapon when they knew the name of the officer. For had crime, when they knew the name of the officer, Black individuals become a little bit less confident that Michael Brown had committed a crime, although still leaning towards believing that he probably did, whereas non-Black individuals somewhat confidently believed that Michael Brown had committed a crime. For had weapon, when they didn't know the name of the officer, Black individuals still believed pretty firmly that Michael Brown did not have a weapon, and non-Black individuals a little bit less so, but still fairly confident in the belief that Michael Brown did not have a weapon. For had crime, when they didn't know the name of the officer, for Black individuals, it decreases dramatically, and Black individuals become significantly less confident in believing that Michael Brown had committed a crime. In fact, they believed that he probably had not committed a crime. For non-Black individuals, they still, for the most part, believe that he probably had committed a crime. So just to conclude, by far our strongest relationship throughout these regressions is name officer. Those who knew the name of the officer seem far more likely to be correct in their beliefs of the events of Ferguson, most likely due to more accurate news sources, more accurate and unbiased news sources. Thank you for watching. This has been my presentation. Thank you.